have, we'll keep going. So we only have, so you bought a building for $3 million 7 or 10 years ago, and unfortunately we're in a pretty tight spot right now when it comes to lending and property values, because I'm telling you things are so cheap. So the building that I bought for $720,000, the one down the block did just sell for $3 million 2 years ago. So when the appraiser looks at that $3 million building, because that owner needs a new loan because his money is due, he needs to be refinanced because he only had that money for 5 or 10 years, they're looking at my $720,000 price tag, and the bank's saying, and the appraiser's saying, we got a little problem here. There's no way we're going to lend you whatever you need at that $3 million value.
So it's because of the foreclosure.
That's one of many reasons I can give you. Then we're going to talk about cap rate battles soon, and I'll explain to you how people compete and drive up the prices.
The cap rates, have they really changed? Okay, so that's what I'm interested in.
Well, we're going to get to it. Arturo.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you think it is a good idea to call or ask the property manager, a seasoned property manager, to take a look at a deal we're trying to do, so that with a train high?
I do. Matter of fact, we bring our property management company with us now at everything we're about to buy, and we actually get their staff out there too to help give us some kind of budget on what it's going to cost to repair. And you're kind of dangling like a carrot in front of their face. You're saying, look, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to let you property manage it for anything. Property management companies take between 3 to 6% of the gross collected income. 3 to 6% of the gross collected income. And that's the way you want to do it. Collected is the key word there. So, okay, let's just move on, and I'll get to all those questions in the presentation. Cash flow transformation. So we stopped when I said, can anyone today make $100,000 a month in their current job? And everybody kind of agreed no. So then my next question to you is then, if you still follow the same old pattern, and if I can show you, and if you want to follow that pattern, and you want to keep your job, and you like what you're doing, and all you're looking for are 10 or 15% returns, well, I got to tell you something here. There's people in this room that have money, and there's lots of people in this room that want to buy apartment buildings. And I'm both. I'm always looking for a 15% return, and I'm always looking to buy apartment buildings. So we're going to get into the rule of 72 soon here, but if you have, say, $1 million in the bank, and you know you're going to make 15% a year on it, but your $1 million is just sitting in your bank account, you're just killing yourself. You're just killing yourself because I already explained to you about that yen with my son, how I thought it was going to be worth 70, but it was worth 125 because of all the devaluation and hyperinflation. But if that's the way you want to do it, I wish we're not going to be completely honest here, because I normally would ask a question, I'd say, Caroline, how much money you got in the bank? And you might say $100,000. And then I'd say, okay, let's take that $100,000. So 15% of $100,000, $15,000 a month. So, a year. Yeah, $15,000. Oh, $15,000 a month. 15,000. See, I don't say a year anymore. So you'd be getting close to $2,000. Not even $1,300 a month if you invested your money properly. So maybe just look for 15% returns. If that's the way you want to do it, if you want to keep your job and keep saving and go down that path, at least have a 15% plan. And you get that in real estate. I don't really think you get that in equities, in the stock market. Most of us. Okay, so we're going to start hitting a few numbers and formulas here. Are you guys okay? Yeah? Okay. So we're going to go through some key financial ratios, and we'll hit a case study and some of the rules and tools that I developed out in the field, and we'll talk more about why properties are cheaper than they were in the last 5 or 10 or 15 years, and we'll talk about some of my software. Okay, understanding key financial ratios. We're going to talk about cap rates. We're going to talk about cash-on-cash returns. We're going to talk about DSCR and NOI. DSCR stands for debt service coverage ratios, and NOI stands for net operating income. Very commonly used. It's almost used to confuse people and keep them out of this business. It doesn't have to be like that. Okay, cash-on-cash return. Let's just talk about the concept. Yes? Debt service coverage ratio. Debt service coverage ratio, DSCR. Okay, a cash-on-cash return. It's really what the bank wants to know. It's really what your investors want to know. So let me give you an example. Let's just say we buy a property that costs $1 million. You put a down payment of $100,000 down. You get paid $5,000 net positive cash flow each month. Or a 5% monthly return on the investment of $100,000. Okay, here's where it gets kind of cool. So if you're making 5% a month on your $100,000 investment, 5% times 12 months is 60%. So you made a $100,000 investment, and you got a 60% cash-on-cash return for $60,000. Everybody with me? Okay. Every investor wants to know this when you're out there raising money, putting deals together, talking to banks, solid returns. It just helps them measure their return. And they can compare your deal against other deals. Your bankers are doing that, and your investors are doing that, and you should be doing that too. Price per unit. Simple concept. Take a $3 million building. 300-unit apartment complex. Divide it, 300 by 3 million, $10,000 a unit. Price per unit. I think I'll sit still. So it's really a bird's eye view indicator, because it's kind of cool. Let's just say that I like Pasadena, and I'm kind of done buying in Pasadena. I have a lot of exposure there right now, and I'd like to move on to other places in Texas. But let's just say I believe prices right now are $15,000 to $20,000 a unit for C to C plus assets. Someone calls me up and says, hey, Alan, I got this incredible deal. Would you share it with your students or take a look at it yourself? I can get this incredible deal for $25,000 a unit. It's just disqualified right away. So price per unit, it just helps you qualify or disqualify deals right away. Now, had they called me and they said, I can get this deal for $5,000 a door, I'd probably stop what I was doing and drive there right away. You know, because, right, if I think they're worth $15,000 and they can get it for $5,000, and there might be some rehab, you know, but that's the kind of 20, 30, 40% deal I'm looking for. So price per unit, simple math, but it really just lets you gauge the area. You'll farm your area. You need to decide where you want to buy. You need to decide where you want to buy, because if you keep looking all over the state of Texas, you're never going to get the job done. Pick a county. Expenses per unit. So we're really going to start kind of digging into things a little here. Expenses per unit. Assume the total annual operating expenses are $600,000 for 100 units. What you're going to do is you're going to divide $600,000 by 100 units equals $6,000 per unit per year. Those are the beginning of some very important numbers that are going to help us analyze deals. I know for some of you this might seem really basic, but that's just how basic this whole business is.
Is that including all expenses?
We'll talk more about that later. 'Cause the problem is, when you're talking about apartment buildings, most people leave the debt out underneath, on the bottom. We'll talk about that when we get to NOI. Okay. Here's a rule of thumb. Your expenses are going to be approximately 40 to 60% of your gross income. Here's a little tip. The average C-class property here in Houston, Texas, costs on average between $4,000 to $5,000 a year to run, give or take. Now you got to find out if the building is all bills paid or not all bills paid. Let's talk about that for a second. If there's only 1 meter on this whole entire property that you're looking at, then it's all bills paid. And that means you are paying the electricity for the entire complex. So when we're looking at our expenses on apartment deals, you need to know that so you can add $100 to $150 per unit into your numbers, because that's what it's going to cost. And I charge. You have all bills paid properties with 1 meter, or you have other properties that are sub-metered. Everyone has their own meter, like our houses. And I found myself competing with all bills paid properties in some certain areas, and some people like that. Maybe they don't have enough money to turn on their electricity. Maybe they don't have enough money to turn on their gas or their water. There's all different kinds of scenarios out there. So what I did was I decided that I would offer that function to my tenants, and they would pay me a flat fee of, say, $150 a month. They pay me a flat fee of $150 a month, and if they go over that, they're going to pay me the difference. And if they go under that, well, I guess I keep the difference. Great concept. Really is. And not only that, there's lots of deregulated companies out there right now that will set you up in your leasing office so you can do it from your computer. You can turn them off and you can turn them on. Pretty powerful concept, because I can make more than $100 a unit sometimes. It's like I doubled my profit just on one idea. They're metered and sub-metered. So it's either sub-metered property or just one master meter. Yes?
If it's just 1 meter for the whole thing, how do you know, say, apartment number 60, whatever, or is it everybody?
What they do is, yeah, there's programs out there, and I don't know if we're going to get to it today, but just about every property management software product out there has, they just take the aggregate, they take the average, and they split it up, and they have their own formulas per square foot. The answer, yeah? Okay. The fourth ratio, income per unit. Income per unit. Your gross operating income, by the way, GOI, I might say that a lot. GOI is gross operating income. You're going to take your gross operating income and you're going to divide it by the number of units, and it's going to tell us what really happened. These are real numbers. Real numbers. I have an apartment building. It's collected $30,000 this month, and it's 100 doors. It's $300. Just real numbers. Income per unit. So there's another example. Assume a gross operating income of $400,000 from 30 units. $13,333. Okay, now, net income per unit. This is where things get a little tricky, but I don't want you to get tricked. Everyone seems to have their own definitions when they talk about NOI. Net operating income is NOI. You hear it all the time in the apartment business. Let me give you an example, and then we'll talk about what it really is. Assume your net operating income of $210,000 from 30 units, and you're just going to divide 30 units by $210,000. $7,000 per unit is your NOI. So NOI is, you're going to take your net operating income, you're going to divide it by how many units are in the building. Break-even ratio. Everybody wants to know, or you should want to know. Yes? No. The NOI is not including the debt service. The NOI, we're going to go back to it, but the NOI does not, that's the whole trick. So net operating income does not include debt service. So all your expenses, everything it costs to run your building is your net operating income, your NOI. Then you subtract your debt service. We'll get to that on another slide. Let's just talk about break-even ratio. This is a great rule of trying to figure out. Let's say you have 100 units. You have a 100-unit building, and you say, okay, enough with all these numbers. When do I break even? You know, when do I break even? Let's just say you know that you can rent every unit out for, just say, $500 a piece. So what I like to do is I have a magic number. I got a 100-unit building. Just say for that particular situation, the first 70 pay the bills. The first 70 pay the bills, and the last 30 are the profit. And I really like that scenario. So for example, with my single-family houses, let's just say there's 100 houses. You know, it's like, and those margins are so thin. Let's just say the first 80 houses, I break even. So I let the team do all their work, like for the first 2 or 3 weeks. And I get a little more active on the last week, because the last week is my money. It's really my money. So, you know, that last 20% is the profit margin. So you always want to know your break-even ratio. Break-even ratio, gross operating income, divided by operating expenses and debt service. So let me give you an example. You have a gross operating income of $210,000. Divide it by your expenses to run the building for $75,000, and then you're servicing your debt for $100,000. You get $175,000. You want to know, you divide that, you're going to come up with 1.2. That's a 1.2 ratio. We'll talk more about the scale of ratios soon. Just like any business you've ever been in before, you need to know what your break-even number is. Break it down to how many units, so you know how many units have to be rented before you start losing money or before you start making money.
So if you have a 30% or 70% occupancy, you break even.
Well, I wish it was that easy. But the expenses could be different all over the board to run buildings. But generally, it comes down to the last 20 or 30%.
Is there any format spreadsheets you've created that come with a package that are real simple to plug these numbers in?
I do. I will get out to you some pro formas that I use. And you all also received, or you should have received, Daniel's software. That's good stuff. I mean, this guy was a Wall Street genius. We're friends. And but I've created real simple ones that I use too. Okay. Let's stretch. Okay. So it's been an hour and a half, 90 minutes. Is it a 5-minute break or a 10-minute break? Am I with a 5-minute group or a 10-minute group? We're going to talk about cap rates. Another. You're way over there. We're going to talk about cap rates right now. A lot of people have their own way of doing cap rates. Cap rates don't entirely work for what I'm doing because I'm buying properties that aren't performing. I'm buying properties that are empty. But it's a ratio, and it allows you to compare properties in areas against each other. And what a cap rate is, and write this down, and then we'll go through the definition, but its value, the value of the building, equals net income divided by the cap rate. Yeah, sorry. So just write value equals income divided by the cap rate. Value equals net income divided by the cap rate. The capitalization rate or cap rate of a property will reflect the return that you would receive over 1 year if your investment property had been purchased for cash. Let me give you an example. If you buy an apartment building for $1 million, and the net operating income of that $1 million purchase for cash was $100,000, divide $1 million by $100,000, 10%. So some people say, a cap rate is really just a percentage return. So when you hear people say 10 cap, they mean 10%. Or when they say 5 cap, they mean a 5% return. That's one way of looking at this whole complicated subject. What are you yielding? What do you want to return? What percentage do you want? If I know Terrence wants a 15% return on his money, I could take that number and back into an apartment building that he'd absolutely love, where he'd get a 15% return. We're going to keep talking about cap rates. So $1 million divided by 100,000 equals 10%. Everybody with me? Yes? Yes? Okay. If you're considering the purchase of an apartment building that is getting a net operating income of $150,000 and you want to see a cap rate of 11%, then you compute the maximum purchase price you can. And let me give you, here you go. What you would do is you take $150,000 and you divide it by 11%. That's the price of the building you're going to buy. $1,363,636. We're going to keep talking about this. I'll say it one more time. You're going to take, if you know you need $150,000 to live, and you're trying to figure out cap rates and what percentage you need, in order to get that $150,000 a month on 11% return, technically speaking, on cap rates, you're going to go purchase a building for $1,363,636. I created a spreadsheet that we're all going to go through that will make this a lot easier.
That's a cash?
That is cash. I did that on purpose. It's all cash. There's no debt on that building. So it's a black box. It's all cash. And that's because a lot of people talk about net operating income in this business. Net operating income does not include debt service. Write that down. We'll get to the slide. Net operating income does not include debt service. The variables are interchangeable when you're talking about cap rates. Some of you might find it easier with this equation. NOI stands for net operating income divided by the sales price equals the cap rate. Right? We already said if you want to buy $1 million building and it's got a $100,000 return, that's your 10 cap rate. All right, let me see if I can. Artur. Give me an example. And then I'm going to repeat the question.
A property is getting 10,000 a net operating income today.
Okay.
Then
And let's assume we bought the property for cash. Okay.
then I need 50% down. And I calculate that to see the value today of that property. And then I get 30% of that. And I think that's what I'm going to pay.
I didn't follow you. Maybe if I had a board. Can we talk round numbers? So you buy something for $1 million.
No, he's saying
How much am I gonna
your formula right there says you should buy it for $1.363 million, which you had up there just a minute ago.
Right.
He's saying, in that using that formula, should I pay 70 cents on the dollar? Is that what I should offer to buy that property?
Yeah. If that's what you're looking for. Okay, so I came up with this week to kind of make it more apparent on maybe what's going on in the marketplace. Cap rates. And I kind of call it cap battles, and it's another reason why real estate prices got so expensive. Let's just say here, actually, cap rates and value. In the market we're in right now, when cap rates are high, values are down. You guys just have to write that down. Cap rates are high, values are down. Cap rates are high, values are down. And then it's reverse. When values are high, cap rates are down. And we can have these markets all over the United States, right? I mean, values could be high in Los Angeles and cap rates are down. And cap rates can be up in Texas and values are down. Let me give you an example. Let's just say let's say Sam is looking for a 10% return. Hang on. 5, 10, and let's make that 20. Okay. So Sam's looking for a 10% return on, just say, $1 million valued property. And let's just say his wife, Rafa, did I say it right? Says, no, Sam, it's been nice living with you, and I'm going to go buy my own deal. And I don't need a 10% return. I want a 9% return. So here's what's going to happen here. And I'm going to explain to you when cap rates go up, values go down. So we're at a 10 cap rate now. But when I make it an 11 cap rate, I'm sorry, actually, I just went backwards. We started with a 10 cap rate, and she says that she doesn't need 10% return. She needs a 9% return because she really wants the building. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it a 9% return. What happens? We started off with $1 million building. She's settling for a 9% return. The value of the property just went up, $111,000. Okay? One more time. Cap rate just went down, and the value just went up. And that's another thing that we found ourselves here in the United States over the last 5 years, or I should say 5 years ago, when prices really got insane. I'm going to keep going this example. So now, Sam's pissed off because he has all this money sitting in the bank, not doing anything, and he's looking at all his opportunity costs that he just lost. And he's working with his broker, and he decides that he wants to buy the next building at a 9 cap for $1,111,000. And then Terrence comes into play, and he wants a 9% return. He realizes he can't get 15%, and he's going to pay the same price. Or, you know what? He's going to pay 8%. You're looking for an 8 cap. So now what happens when I make that an 8 cap? right? What's going to happen when I make it an 8 cap? Look at that. 8 cap. Cap rate came down, value went up. Now we're all fighting over these properties. Sam's had it. He's had it. He doesn't know what to do, and he's just lost out on 6 to 9 months of making a return on his money in the bank. And the market's really heating up right now. It's really heating up, and the same property that was selling for $1 million and change at 9 cap rates, he's got to start trying to buy at a 5 cap rate because he's got to get a return on his money. So when I make that a 5 cap rate, it goes from $1,125,000 to $2 million in value. So what cost $1 million and change at a 9 or a 10 cap rate, at a 5 cap rate, costs twice as much.
So will the rent support that? I mean, there has to be
That's market forces, and the answer is yes. But that's another reason why we're seeing prices come down right now. Another reason why. But when this was happening, absolutely, it has to. Or let's just say that was a Class A building. All right. You stop living in Class A building and you come rent from me in my C and Bs, my C class and my B class buildings. You can't afford to live in Class A anymore. So we priced out a lot of people, but we priced them out probably because we're full. I mean, business is so great. If business wasn't great, you wouldn't spend $2 million for that building. But you're okay with a 5% return. Yes.
Well, if I was understanding you right, the rents are
Brandon?
unrelated there.
What was that, Brandon?
I mean, rents are unrelated there.
Well,
Math, and in those percentages, when you're talking about lowering your return, what you're going to make, rents are constant in that example.
they are. I'm always thinking about raising rents.
I'm not talking about business
Yeah.
decisions, but I'm talking about, in reality, just the formula, the rents are constant there, right?
Yes, they are. Rents are constant.
If the rents went up, then your 5% no longer is 5%, it's 6% or whatever.
Yes. Good point. So
That sounds like we pay more to get less.
that's what happened in the last 5 or 10 or 15 years. That's one of the many things that happened. But this was the best way because people get so confused over cap rates. So I call it cap rate battles. We're just battling with each other because let me tell you something. Let's not call this A real estate. I didn't. We started off, I should have said this is like the Galleria, a 5 cap, because that's what's happening right now. We're seeing 5 caps in the Galleria. We're seeing 10 caps in C buildings. I'll give you guys a breakdown later of exactly where the cap rates are in Houston. And, you're seeing, 15 to 20 caps in D buildings. So what used to cost, an investment of 5% for $2 million right now in the Galleria, hell, now you have to go to Pasadena to get yourself a 5% return at a $2 million value. So what used to cost $2 million here at a 5% return in the Galleria, you got to go to Pasadena to find it. Now, believe me, that 5 would have fallen lower in the Galleria area. I mean, because it's safety. Where are you going to put your money? A lot of people want to be in Class A assets. You have to decide what your risk appetite is. Let's just do one more extreme here. So let's just say, now everyone in the front row is pissed off. Everybody wants to buy an apartment building. You just came out of my course. You believe it, and you want to be part of it. And everybody's competing with everybody. And you want a 10% return or you want a 15% return. You can't get it. You can't get it, but you're getting 0 to 0.5% in the bank, and you want to own an apartment building, and you want to start a business. So what do? You settle for a 3% return because you're not even getting 3%. So when you settle for a 3% return on an apartment building, look at that. The value just skyrocketed. So when you had everybody on Wall Street wrapping up all those collateralized mortgages, whatever they want to call it, blindly, and then selling it to some kind of pension fund manager in another country and guaranteeing them 3 to 5 or promising 3 to 5% returns, that's what was happening. That's what was happening, totally happening like that. So now what do you have? She just bought a building for $1 million and change. Are you going to sell it for $3.3 million?
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to move on. Does that kind of really, cap rates up, values down, values up, cap rates down. I just saved you a year of school. I'll send everybody that too if we will remind me at the end. I'm sorry, I got to get back into my PowerPoint presentation now.
What is no cap rate?
My broker he'll kind of call me out because I want to obviously buy. I won't buy at a 10 cap, but I want to sell at a 10 cap. Right? I won't buy at a 10 cap, but I'll sell at a 10 cap. So again, the cap rates are just barometers because they're based off of real numbers, and most of the stuff that I buy isn't in business. It's distressed. It's boarded up. It's foreclosed. But I want to know what's going on in the area. Because it's so exciting when you can take a building that was boarded up for 2 years and you can fix it up. You can fix it up so inexpensively. And then, it's fixed up, it's running, and 2, 3, 4 months goes by. It looks like nothing ever happened there. It's just part of the neighborhood. And then you just jump right into that cap rate market. No one missed a beat. So you took something that nobody wanted, you fixed it up, and you saved the neighborhood, and everything's selling for a 10 cap in the market, and now you just got yourself a 10 cap. So you're writing paper. You're making money on out of thin air. All right, let me. Okay, so that's a little on cap rates. Things that can change cap rates. We just talked about cap rate wars. People fighting for less and less return will drive the value up. Supply and demand. Potential appreciation. Class A real estate right now is so hot. It's just, right? It makes sense. People are moving around looking for work, maybe losing their houses. They're used to a higher lifestyle. So, and not only that, with supply and demand, we really haven't been building a lot of real estate, right, for the last 3 or 4 years. So there's a lot of demand out there and not enough supply.
What is the cap rate for Class A?
5 to 7. The slide's coming up. Yeah, 5 to 7 right now. I know people buying buildings in the Galleria area right now for 5% returns.
Can you find those at distressed prices?
I'm looking. It's hard. It's hard. Well, because usually when people are involved in that high class of a building, they're well funded and they're not going to let the building go so quickly. It's okay. C class is nice to be. Because look, you don't have to live there. Just hire a property management company.
It's just less problem.
So it's really about risk appetite. You can go make a 5% return.
Not if you buy it at a low price. I mean, I want like a 15%.
I know you do.
In an A class.
Yeah. Your wife, my new business partner. I know, yeah. But that's what we're always looking for. That's when you stop what you're doing and go look at the building when those calls come in. And that's why you want to be on your broker's A-list. When those calls come in and you move right away.
So what is the price you expect with that A class? What do you expect to invest to get in?
How much money do you got to put down on a deal?
No, how much is the deal? What's the
those deals can go anywhere from $35,000 to $60,000 a unit. A unit.
That's at a retail price. What
I mean, what do you want me to say? I mean, sure, I'm sure there's some foreclosures out there that you can pick up for half price in A-class real estate. Yes. It just takes a lot more money. See, one thing we like about C-class real estate here is that the numbers are more manageable. We can talk about a 100-unit apartment complex at $10,000 a door. So $1 million, right? So, but now you want to talk about 100 units at $30,000 or $40,000 a door, even though it's half off. You're looking at a $3 to $5 million investment. So it's really all just perspective. It really is. I have some friends that are very successful in A and B class real estate, and I'm almost jealous sometimes because those tenants that live there, I mean, they pay all their bills all the time. They're worried about their credit report, and they're more responsible. What can I say? C and D class people, they're not. Most of my tenants don't care about the contracts that they sign. So sometimes it's hard, trying to work. That's why you need a property management company, because most of us wouldn't understand if somebody just signed a lease for 12 months, how they can skip 2 months into it and not worry about the repercussions of a $10,000 debt going through a legal system. So it really depends on, what's your risk factor within yourself. I want to leverage more. And I think the marketplace we find ourselves in right now offers more reward in the C-class business. A lot less reward, because everyone who wants to play it safe right now already owns the A assets and the B assets, and they're settling for 5% returns. But it's trickling down, because those cap battles are happening right now. I can't believe people are settling for 5% returns in Herman Memorial area or the Galleria area or some other areas in Nassau. I can't believe it. It wasn't always 5%. It used to be 7 or 8%. They're all fighting themselves back down, which leads me to believe we're on the road to recovery, just because I'm seeing cap rates come down. And as these cap rates come down, there's a trickle-down effect, because rents do go up, because they're making less money, but they have a little more leverage because they got an A asset and there's not enough of them out there. So as rents go up, then you, the consumer, have to make a decision. Well, what used to cost $1,000 to rent now costs $1,200 to rent in the A-class market. Do you want to pay $1,200, or do you want to move into something that costs between $800 and $1,000 to a B class? And then what happens? The B class starts filling up. And then they have the same kind of talk with themselves. I came into this building at $800, and now a year's gone by, and they want to charge me $950 because that's the going market rent, because the A-class market is so hot, because cap rates are so low and values are so high. They want to charge me $950. I can move into Alan's beautiful C-class. He just redid the floors and painted it and epoxied everything, and it's even got a new refrigerator and stove in it for, say, $600 or $700. That's the game. It's the whole battle, and it's a trickle-down effect. So when you read about A-class buildings being full, I mean, it's awesome. It's so exciting for me. Because not only are we going to make more money on the bottom line with our tenants, our values are going to go up because cap rates are going to go down. Okay, so the potential for appreciation. That was really about appreciation. So what used to cost $600 and change now costs close to $2,000 3 years later. So what costs today $1 million in the apartment business that sold for $3 million 5 years ago, I'm betting it's going to be worth $3 million in the next few years. Tax benefits can change the way we look at cap rates. A lot of people get involved in real estate for the tax rate advantages. I don't think we should go into them all right now, but there's lots of great depreciation ways of saving lots of money. And the more leniency we get from the government, that really does affect the way we buy and sell apartment buildings. Yes?
When tax benefits, if you do a partnership, like on your PPM, each partnership gets a tax benefit as well.
Yes.
Okay.
I share the losses. What was that? Yeah. You can. I'll sell you losses all day long. Yeah. I mean, let's stay on subject, but there's a whole tax credit market out there right now where large corporations take part of. They buy rights to apartment buildings that they don't run or really don't own, just so they get that depreciation. They're buying the depreciation from someone. I can sell my depreciation to a corporation. It's a conversation for another day. So ease of financing. Another reason why prices really got out of whack over the last 5, 10, 15 years is because, as we all know, it was a lot easier to borrow money. A lot easier to borrow money. So when it's not so easy, values aren't so high. Okay, we're going to talk about net operating income one more time. I threw this in here to be more clear. Net operating income, you have your income from the building, and you're going to subtract your cost, your operating expenses. That's your NOI. Income minus operating expenses equals NOI. Here's more of a definition on NOI. Take all the income, subtract all the annual operating expenses, which are things like taxes, insurance, management, fees, repairs, maintenance, marketing expenses, and utilities. Anything you spend on the property except mortgage payments is an operating expense. Anything you spend on the property except mortgage payments is an operating expense. Subtract annual operating expenses from your annual rent. The figure is the net operating income. Subtract your annual operating expenses from your annual rent. Sure. Hold on to that. I mean, yeah. Then we got to talk about what a capital expense is. Okay, you guys know that. If you value the property at $1 million and you need a 10 cap rate, expect to make $100,000. Let me see this one. So if your NOI is $8,100 and you're in an 11 cap rate market, you're going to take $8,100, you're going to divide it by 0.11, and the value of that property should be $73,636. The property is worth $73,636. That's a low number. Maybe I should have used it. This does not work for single-family houses. NOI is $8,100, and the cap rate is 11%, 11 cap. Divide 8,100 by 11. 0.11 equals $73,636. The property is worth that much. If you use a cap rate of 10 and you take the same property, right? So our cap rate is going down, our value is going up. 10 times 8,100 is 81,000. Take it out one more time. Use a cap rate of 12. Cap rate of 12. The value would decrease to $67,500. The higher the cap rate, the lower the value. Okay, NOI and forced depreciation. Okay, is that clear? Should I keep going? So let's just say you created $40,000 out of thin air. Let's just say you bought a building and you cut expenses, you increased the revenues, you've created $40,000, and everything on the block is selling for a 10 cap rate or a 10% return. What have you just done? What have you just done? You've created $400,000 of equity. That's powerful. That's what I'm doing in C-Class. That's what I meant when you can buy something that wasn't really existing in a 10 cap neighborhood, and a little time goes by, you fix it up, and it looks like it was always there. I mean, I've created millions of dollars in properties just by that formula. Right? That's how we really get wealthy. That's how they get wealthy on Wall Street. They create IPOs, they create paper, and they sell it for money.
You can't do that in an A-class property.
Well,
Fully,
if you find one, I mean, maybe you stumble upon one that's boarded up. Maybe some life insurance company, goes out of business or something, and the property's a mess, and a receiver steps in, and a judge steps in, and the judge is looking at his roster, and he said, I can't stand this particular apartment building, let's get rid of it, and they just fire sale it. I mean, that is kind of happening in auctions. We can talk about auctions later. People are buying. People are buying. The problem is they got to have millions of dollars right then and there. And most people, we're here kind of figuring out how the heck are we going to get involved in $1 million property in the first place. It's my perception. You're saying, how the heck am I going to get involved in a $3 to $5 million property that's worth 10? Or 10 to 12 million. Yeah, it's great. Yes.
The sales prices and net operating income of the apartments in the area is the only place to get that from broker, and I imagine that they would only know or have hard figures on those properties that they brokered as opposed to other properties.
So there really isn't any kind of, the question is recorded property values. How's it done? And there really isn't any kind of MLS for properties. It is public information. A lot of it is on HCAD or I guess all my brokers have that information, and I can see it somewhere. I'm trying to figure out where I actually saw it. Maybe it is very non-transparent. So, for example, I was telling everybody about a $720,000 building this morning that sold for $3 million. Now, I had an idea it sold for that, but I actually just spoke to the person that lent the money on that deal. So I know it to be true. I guess, and other than that, the HCAD value was above $3 million. Yeah. So you got to ask the questions. You got to ask your team how to verify that number.
another one.
Okay.
Is the A-class properties are always in a different locations than the C-class properties, or you can find it?
Well, somebody asked a similar question during the break. You have a market, and then you have a sub-market. You have a block in New York City. One through the first 2 blocks can be great, and 3 and 4, you don't want to go in the middle of the night. So you got to really figure out what sub-market you're in. Now, if I'm in a sub-market where everything's renting for 40 to 60 cents a square foot, which leads me to believe D class, and why do you want to put it? It's tricky. But if it's D class and everything's renting for $300 or $400 a unit, and you want to put an A building right next to a D building and start charging the same people in the same neighborhood 3 or 4 times as much rent, it's maybe that's a business formula that works for you. In Pasadena, I'd get creamed if I did something like that. I mean, a one-bedroom's in a particular submarket is going to be $400, say. And if I started charging $600 to $700 for a one-bedroom, they're not coming. So whatever the market will bear, I guess. I have the same 4-bedroom, same exact setup with this one bedroom, same flooring, same paint scheme, same refrigerator, same oven. 400 here, 2 miles away because of the location, 600 here. There's no way I can charge 600 here. So it's up to you if you want to go against the area and, you know. My business model is best price, best product, best price. I just want to stay full. I want the revenues coming in. And I look at something personally, I go, that's $5,000, $10,000, or $15,000 a month for me. So if I start trying to get fancy, that's not where I want to take my business. But, you know, possible, right? Because that's how neighborhoods change, by raising rents and putting more expensive properties in. Debt, DCR, debt service coverage ratio, or they call it DCR for short, debt coverage ratios. Let's talk about this because the bank is very interested in the debt. Hang on one second. Questions? Debt coverage ratio.